And now this is a creative retainer, right? So let's say that we're talking to a company who needs social media content. They want whatever it is, 15 reels a month, 20 reels per month. The number of reels, the number of deliverables, things like that, you can break it down that way later. But on the front end, when you're initially proposing this, it doesn't necessarily matter what you're delivering, how much you're delivering. It matters how much of your time it's going to take up. And it matters how many of them you can possibly do and how many of them that you want to be doing, because you're exchanging your time for money and you can't get that back. So you're not selling Big Macs and you're not selling lollipops. Like, you can't scale this infinitely. There's only so much of your time that you can give up. So you need to set your time accordingly. Okay. So let's say that we're working with a client and we're going to shoot with them once per month, and we're going to give them whatever it is, 15 to 20 reels per month, 15 to 20 Instagram posts or TikTok posts or something like that per month, like whatever that is. How many will it take you one day per month to shoot it? Then you want to think in your head, how many of these do I want to be doing? What would be ideal for me? If you're asking me personally, 4. I want to do 1 shoot per week. That means I have 4 clients and I shoot with each client once per week. Once per month. There's 4 days a month that I'm shooting with these guys. But I'm spending other times strategizing, other times working on scripting, other times working on editing. And then what is the max that I could do? I have this set at 8, and that means that I can do 2 per week, right? I'm doing 8 shoots per month. These are big full day shoots, right? So we're pumping out a lot of content here for our 8 different clients. Okay. This sets our high number and this sets our low number. That's what these are going to be up here, but we'll get to those in a second. And so this kind of gives you a gauge of what your lifestyle is going to be like if you're shooting what you'd like to be doing versus what would be the maximum where you're really busy and it's really stressful, but you're making good money. Okay. So then you're going to want to come down here and say, like, okay, so per shoot, what are going to be the costs per shoot here? These are your costs of goods sold. They're not monthly. These are going to be, you're only paying these expenses when you get booked on something. I like to put editing in here always because I like to pay myself to edit based on this. And then it gives me kind of a relief valve here to where if I wanted to ever outsource my editing to somebody else, if I got bogged down. Now, if I were shooting 8 of these shoots per month, if I was shooting twice a week and I was doing strategy and I was helping with script writing and I was helping with all of the pre-production, post-production, then I would definitely want to hire an editor. So I want to go ahead and bake that in. 5 hours would be like $400 for editing maybe. So let's say $550. What kind of a crew do you need per shoot? Okay. Maybe you just need an assistant. Assistant might be $250, it might be $150, it might be $250, it might be $259. Let's say $250. Travel, let's say that you're local and it's nothing, right? Equipment, you got to rent your equipment to yourself. This helps you build in your equipment costs at $150 or $200. You could just go to, Adorama Rentals and then put in their prices there, right? Miscellaneous and expendables for a shoot like this. I don't know what you could put your lunch in here if you want. So let's just leave $15. Oh, and we're basing our salary requirement on 100,000. Let's not do that for this. Let's just base it on what we came up with our housing costs and our salary, our salary calculation of 88,000. So back over here, we have all of these put in here, what we think that the shoot's going to cost. What does that do? That pops up our base fee for a retainer of On the low end, we would charge a client $2,172 per month. And what that does is that low means if we shoot 8 shoots per month, then we're going to hit our target of $88,571 after we pay our crew and after we pay our monthly overhead expenses. So we're going to hit our target if we do 8. High is if we do 4. So here's where you get to kind of think, well, I can do 8, but will I get 8 clients? Will I get 4 clients? So you need to start thinking, well, I'm going to try to get 8 clients, but I might end up with 5 or 6. So this is where this median, and the median is really just the average of these two. So I would never pitch this low right at the beginning. We would work down from there, and I would keep that number in mind as absolute bottom out there, because any lower than that means I have to do 9 per month in order to make my salary. I have to do 10 per month. I have to do 11. If I'm starting to do lower than this, then that means I have to work more in order to make what I need to make to live. Okay. So keep that number in mind. You're probably never going to show this to your client. You're going to think, right around here. And also, this is for a 12-month. Okay. So if you have a client who's like, you know what, I'm going to hire you and I'm going to sign a 12-month contract. If you book 8 clients, this price, and they all sign 12-month deals, bam, you're good. You've made your salary requirement. Most clients aren't going to, off the bat, want to pay a 12-month retainer. They're going to want to try you out first, right? So that's where these other numbers come in. And that's where these percentages come in. So you're going to add, if they want to do 6 months instead, then great. It's 15%. And you're not going to say it to them as 15% more. This is going to be a discount, right? So you're going to say, well, 3-month retainer is $4,000. A 6-month retainer is $3,000, right? And then a 12-month retainer is $2,750 or $3,000, or something like that, right? This is what gives you that negotiation to where you could say, look, if you want to do 3 months, that's great. It's going to cost you $4,400. We're happy to do that. But if you want to go ahead and lock in that 15% discount, and these numbers are changeable. I want to do a 10%. I want it to be only 10% more. I want this to be 5% more, right? And then these build off of each other. So it's 5% more than. What do I like? I play with it, and I come up with a number that looks good to me. So whichever kind of one of these they choose, then we have what our estimate might look like. Okay, so whichever one they choose, let's say you did it, you landed at $3,000. This is not a round number. So maybe we want to just put it in the round. They're going to pay you $3,000 a month for 6 months, right? And this is what your breakdown might look like. Okay, so your creative fee is going to look like $1,885 per month. And here's what your editing is going to look like. This just translates right over here. Travel, here's your equipment fee, here's your miscellaneous. And these down here, these aren't here. These are just going to subtract from your creative fee. So, zero. So it's really $1,985. A lot of this money is going into what your monthly overhead is. So maybe you don't want your client to think you're just taking a huge chunk of the money. You're also paying for digital storage of their assets. That's just going to kind of balance out this estimate here. Maybe you're going to do strategy calls, right? And those are $250. Whatever it is you negotiate with them, you can put in here, and then that's just going to balance this out. And so this just kind of gives you what that breakdown might look like on an estimate or a quote, something like that. That's retainer.